common ground is the meeting of differences. It's the place where all differences meet together. And therefore, people from different positions can find something in common. So it accepts absolutely differences. But it says, amongst differences, we can find common themes and ideas. And this is what I was saying, that I don't believe in a singular view of architecture. I believe in a multiple view of architecture. Everybody I invited to the Biennale is an important architect and has really legitimate strengths. And I wanted them to show those strengths. Not as a competition to others. It's not just an issue of who is the most famous architects now, or who is the most influential, or who is the youngest, or who is the hottest, but the idea that there is something called an architectural culture, made of generations, made of ideas, that there is a discipline, that there is something called an architectural discipline against which we can understand a plurality. And for me, that was the important thing. I wanted many voices, but I wanted the voices to somehow try to talk together. So the first room is an introduction. The well is a sort of archaeological memory, just to remind us of history and different contributions in here. He is a master of photography about architecture, and he puts in front of us, you know, the world that we live in. And I think what's so beautiful about Thomas's photographs is that they're not didactic, they're not judgmental. They're very powerful in their sort of apparent innocence. So Foster made a very interesting gesture to invite hundreds of people in the architectural community to give him images and ideas about what they imagine is a sort of physical common ground. You know, Norman Foster, that everyone thinks is a very sort of corporate architect, is someone that, you know, thinks about these things. And that's what I wanted to show, that architects are thinking about things, not just presenting themselves. For me, the Biennale is like a play. It's a performance where each participant is a protagonist. They have a role, they have a character, and they have a series of ideas that they must convey. And I asked them to convey those ideas in the strongest possible way. Some people understood very well how to do this, and other people found it more difficult. This is really an interesting room for me because Peter Markley says, okay, I'm not going to use architecture in a literal way to talk about. I'm going to step a little bit outside, and I'm going to use my empathy and my instinctive fascination for the work of certain artists, Giacometti and Josephson, to talk about the human figure, and that, in a way, to reassert that at the center of all of our work is the human figure and the relationship between the figure and architecture. And so Markley made here a wonderful poetic room, I think, showing the figure in relationship to the column. The work of Fat, I mean, this project is a very consistent to the work of Fat. They believe very much in the idea of copying. They're very interested in the idea of history as not necessarily as an authentic repetition of forms, but the fact that we carry with us an expectation of forms, and the forms become part of our memory, and these forms have meaning, and they believe it's legitimate to copy these things, you know, in a way, in a very Venturian manner, and so therefore they represent their ideas through this copy of Villa Rotonda, or this mold of Villa Rotonda. I think this is a very interesting thematic, and it's absolutely in line with my idea of the Biennale, is to talk about shared ideas, and clearly in a way the common ground I believe that we have to establish is common ground between the profession and society. And society carries expectations about what architecture should look like. There's Joe Noero from South Africa making or positing two pieces of work. One, a sort of a very articulate handicraft done by members of a community, a sort of dedication towards idea and craftsmanship, and then his own drawing of a part of the city which has the same sort of, there's a sort of talking between these two. And then Shinozaki talking about, in a way, not so far away from Fat's project about copying. He's interested in the idea of repetition, the idea of typology, the idea that typology and pre-existing forms becomes a sort of place to begin and also a place from which to depart. The character of Col Hoff is an important protagonist in the play of architecture. He's a protagonist that believes that, the language of architecture, the continuous language of architecture is important. The concerns of language in sort of tectonic terms, the history of the city, the relationship between architecture and the city, all of these things are really, exemplified in a very powerful way by his work. This is Farshid. And Farshid is doing, Masami is in a way the complete opposite to Col Hoff. In a way she doesn't really believe that meaning and history, architecture can carry anymore these meanings, and therefore she believes that the future of architecture is much more in experience and sort of physicality. And this is Hertzog Demeron, and I think this is a great project, making a bat house. This is a great installation talking about the difficulty of public building. It's about their Philharmonie and about the struggle that one has. In a way, I wanted this exhibition is about, influences, affinities, and predicaments, and to try to explain to people what architects have to deal with. This is an installation that I sort of provoked. It's the subject of Tempelhof. Tempelhof is an issue in Berlin in a way. It's an issue and a non-issue. It's the airport is closed. It leaves a huge space, a sort of common ground in Berlin. And in the meantime, the people of Berlin just go there and they walk their dog, they ride their bicycle, they grow vegetables. It's a common ground as a sort of result, nearly an archaeological result of a great history. And I suppose in this I'm interested in the idea that if something happens very strong, it always survives. We have a problem about conservation and knowing what, but the problem of conservation is not a problem if you value things and if you make things which have common values. That no one would imagine in Berlin that you should knock down Tempelhof. No one imagines that you should fill in the land with construction. Why not? Why not? Most airports get closed and then the land is free. Why not? Well, because it was sort of such a powerfully conceived thing. And then I think this is a very interesting composition. Also, a little bit, I stimulated this concept. We commissioned a film by Robert McKillop, a young British filmmaker. I asked him just to film the Shard as an object. So in London, the Shard has become a new thing. We don't know what to do with it. We don't know whether we like it. We don't know whether we dislike it, but it's there. So this film is just, there is a Shard, there is a Shard, there is a Shard. It's always there. It's become part of the image of the city. It's become part of, it's a symbol of the city. It's not judgmental. It's not saying the Shard is bad, the Shard is good, this is bad. It's just saying we have to, all European cities which have history are dealing with, you know, this continuity in some ways, and then this discontinuity in other ways. This is the Zaha show. At the base of this, there is an idea to show that these ideas have a connection to experimentation and a tradition of structural experimentation. Anupama's project is has a certain innocence, you know, compared to the sophistication of Zaha. You know, it's a project which is coming out of a very different constructive culture, and Anupama is talking about how the making of the making of architecture is really a moment of collective common ground in a way that in some ways, as we industrialized architecture and we took it further away from the making by people, we separated the conceptual and the physical, the realizational dimensions of architecture. And then this project talking about how we might deal with our cities in a more informal way, the occupation of Torre David, I think it's called, how an office building that was never completed became occupied in Caracas, and a sort of extraordinary testament to failure and success, in a way the failure of the original building or the failure of society to deliver this, and on the other hand, the success of humanity to somehow, you know, make sense of this. Well, I think the end of this sequence is with Sejima doing a very beautiful installation about a post-tsunami reconstruction project. And then I think we have Monet, a great master, you know, one of our great masters of architecture, showing drawings that he does about cities, about especially his own city of Madrid, and that through these drawings you understand Monet's conviction that architecture is, you know, is bound by context, physical, cultural, social context. He believes that architecture is grounded in the place itself. You know, in a way, he's a good old-fashioned architect. For me, this is a sort of architectural lesson by a master at the very end of this particular sequence of exhibits. And then in the Giardini di Vergini, you know, further up, then we have the other great master, in my opinion, Alvaro Caesar, working with this beautiful pavilion, and then another group of architects, Todd Williams, Yvonne Goya, Peter Zumthor, with the film of Wim Wenders. It's a really special group there now. In the garden of Piet Oudolf, I think it's really a nice, it's another little Biennale.